true. A lot of people may or may not agree with it, but it kind of set up the whole Barbary Koala Tales shipping deal. Because get this story and some of the stories that followed Sally miniseries arc had a continuation to it. There was a, what was it? I think it was like issue 65 or 68, 67 or something like that. I can't remember. You had Sonic and Tails on the world tour to find Naugus, and one of the places they stop at is the Down Under. They stop at the Down Under, and it's there that we kind of get the idea, we kind of see that it seems Barbary Koala has a thing for Tails. And it's like, and I admit a lot of people at first were like, even to this day, they're like, where did that come from? You know, why was that a thing? You know, and that's my dog. She's okay. She just hacks at times. She's alright. She just hacks at times. She's alright. Don't worry. Don't worry. But anyway, it's like, you know, it's like, you know, people are like, when they saw the whole Barbary Koala flirting and hitting on Tails in that follow-up story, and I think issue 62 or 60, I can't remember the issue, I have to look at it. Everybody was like, where the heck did this come from? Why is she crushing on Tails? What the heck? And I think at the time, the reason Barbary was put into that position, and this is this is basically how much of an impact the comic has put on fans, where we theorize why certain things happen. I think it's because Sonic had Sally, and I think whoever wrote the story at that time was testing the waters as to, okay, was trying to test the waters like, okay, Sonic has Sally, Antoine has Bunny, Knuckles has this Julie Stu chick, you know, what else, who else can we give a love interest to, or possible romance to? And they look at Tails and they're like, the only other female we know of would be that Barbary Koala. Because I'm sure as soon as they started writing the follow-up, they're like, hey, she'd be perfect for a possible romance for Tails. And I think that's where the concept came from. But again, it's those kind of memories, those moments that you look back on, and you may not agree with it. You know, you may not agree with it. You may not, you know, like the idea, but it's just those kind of moments you're like, you look back and say, yeah, I remember when I first got this, I was like, whoa, you know. But yeah, the comic for the, I guess now 25 years it's been around, it's really given us a lot of great memories. You know, I remember reading it for the first time, the whole Mecha Madness deal. You know, being intrigued by that, and how, just like with the Sally and Tails and Knuckles miniseries, how that was set up with a main story in the main book, and then concluded with a main story in the main book, but the heart of it, right in the middle, was the 48-page Mecha Madness deal. It's like, I couldn't, it's like, you know, what a way to really give you more than you asked for at times. Heck, you want a good example, there's the Sonic Adventure adaptation. That started around, what was it, issue 79, I believe, or 78? And it didn't really conclude until about midpoint in the 80s issues, I think around issue 84 or 85. And one of the main parts of it was a 48-page special, a 48-page Sonic Super Special called Sonic Adventure that continued the story but didn't finish it. Because basically here's the thing. What Archie Comics was doing with that was they were trying to make the adaptation as big as what the game was itself, story-wise. And I think they succeeded in that. I really do. You know, it's memories like that. You know, as a fan, I have all these memories about them. And the memories that I'm always going to keep with me. I remember when my mom came to visit me around my sophomore year in high school, she bought me several comics from the Wanda Books at the West Ridge Mall. And two of them were a X-Men annual special with Gambit and Rogue, a Ninja Turtles, a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Adventures 48-page special with two of the stories focused on Raphael and Ninjara, and then of course issue 29 of Sonic the Hedgehog, where Sally gets temporarily roboticized, and fans even say that just for that one main story, even though it was two stories in one issue, that one main story did a better job and accomplished more than the whole Mecha Sally arc did in the year and a half that it was around. You know, it's those kind of memories. And I even remember during the summer after my junior year, going into my senior year, I did the summer vocational program, and on the weekends we would probably go to, it was about I think about 2 weeks maybe. Can't really recall. I think it was a week, 2 weeks, something like that. And it was it was to try to help you get the idea of what what life was going to be like after school, after high school. So I remember we would go out on the weekends. One weekend we went to the mall, and I think it was, I don't know if it was there or if it's at a gas station, when gas stations used to sell comics on the racks, that I bought, I think it was at a gas station, well, I bought 49 and 50 of Sonic the Hedgehog, and I think when we went to the mall one time is where I bought 47, I believe, or it's something like that. Basically, it was at a gas station and later on at the mall doing one of those weekend trips, part of this vocational program, that I bought the issues. And I remember reading them and being intrigued as to what was going on. And the one part that was missing from that was, I think, issue 48, and I did get that later on, but I was like, what's going on? What's happening here? So, but those are memories I keep with me because I know exactly what it was when I read the Endgame story arc. And that really was a big story arc. A lot of people thought, and I think Ken Penders had this originally intended, that was going to be the finale of the comic then. Now look where it's at. And it's those kind of memories that you take with you. Heck, I can go back on my channel here on YouTube, and I can pretty much look back and know where I was. Well, it will show the date anyway. So, but I remember when Sally. I remember reading when Sally got roboticized. Okay. I remember reading the finale, because I think I did read issue 230. I think I did read that, or I read somebody spoiling it. But I do recall, and again, you can watch it here on my channel. I came out and I said I would not read a single issue. I would not open a single issue of the Sonic the Hedgehog comic book, even though I'd been subscribed to it for so long, until the Mecha Sally arc was over. Because like a lot of fans at that time, I just didn't like the idea of what they were doing. It's like, okay, you roboticized her. Okay, you weaponized her. But for what? Also that when she gets back to normal, she gets the redesign that she now has? That's all it's been done for? And another thing that got on me about this was the fact that, you know, I think in a sense they didn't know exactly how they were going to conclude it. I mean, heck, here's where the whole Ken Penders thing came into play, even as early as that. The original story arc had more characters involved, had the Echidnas involved, had Julie Sue involved. And who knows how the comic would have came out if those characters had been used. How the story arc would have been affected had those characters been used. I think they were supposed to be the main focal point as to how Sally got restored. But no, the legal lawsuit and everything behind the scenes caused those characters to be deleted, if you will, and thus Ian Flynn and the other creative staff had to scramble as to how they were going to come up with a new way of getting Sally de-roboticized. And they basically had to turn back the clock all the way up to a robotic plant character named the Karzood as the possible antidote. It's like, wow. Who would have thunked it, huh? Who would have thunked it? But it's just one of those situations. It's just those kind of situations you look at and you're like, why? Why would you have to depend on that? How's that going to be the answer? And yet we don't get any resolution to that either, because what happens? We get at the end of 47, we get the Mega Man crossover, which again, I had no problem with that. I read it. I read those issues. Don't get me wrong. But even that had potential they didn't capitalize on. To this day, I feel that they could have really capitalized on the whole roboticized master deal by having Wily and Eggman add in an additional function into Sonic's friends when they became roboticized masters, by having them combine into one huge roboticized master. Basically merged together into one huge roboticized master, because that would create more conflict, more intrigue, more character development, but it would have created more interest and more drama, in a sense, if that's what you were looking for. Because now you would have Sonic and Mega Man faced with the fact that they got to face this big, giant, roboticized master, which is basically brought together by the fact that that Sonic's friends merged together to become it, and now it's on self-destruct mode, and now he's facing this conflict with Mega Man, to where Mega Man's like, look, we got to take this thing out for good. And he's like, no, I can't. Basically the conflict is there. The intrigue, the story, everything was there, presented to them on a silver platter, and they didn't take advantage of it. And the result of it, at the end, is Eggman screws up Sonic's attempt to restore the world, and that's how we got the new soft retcon reboot timeline? Potential there, not taken. But I can say this, looking back on it, I didn't have a problem with the Mega Man crossover. I really didn't. I'm one of those people that did go out and subscribe, I think, to Sonic, and I think even, well, not to Sonic Universe, but I even went out and bought online Mega Man comics just to keep up with it. And again, I had no problem with it. I thought the story arc was good. But then later on, and of course we had the whole retcon rebooted story arc, or the pilot story arc, or story arc pilot, Countdown to Chaos. And I can tell you, I even said it here on my channel, I had a feeling Nicole was going to be the key. And she was. And I like the fact that even before we got into this new retcon reboot, that in the old storyline, the old continuity, they were bringing Nicole full circle. I love the fact that she would be getting a bigger role, a more prominent role. I love that. I love the character development between her and other characters. I did like it. I really did. And I got a kick out of it. And I like the fact that they were continuing that here. I like the fact that she was the key, as I predicted, of them getting the memories back. I was okay with that, because I'm one of those longtime fans. Like, you can't take away what we saw in the past, or in previous issues, in the previous continuity. You can't take it away and throw it aside. You got to keep it. You got to focus on it. You got to bring it back in some way. And I'm thankful that they did that. I really am. But overall, when I look at the comic, and I look what it's gone through since it began, up to what it's doing right now, it's just so many great memories. You know, just so many great memories. You know, I talk about the Mega Man crossover. There was also the follow-up with Sigma as the main villain. And I can't say any more than that. I mean, yes, it was bigger. It had more bigger story-wise and character-wise. And the moments that they gave us there were kind of cool. You know, Sally being, like when the Street Fighter characters got involved, you had Sally being impressed by Chun-Li's martial arts. You had Sonic kind of have an unamused look on his face when Guile did the Sonic Boom! You know, just those kind of moments that stick with you. And whether or not you agreed with how that crossover ended, I was still okay with it. Because it's not just the story arc itself, it's moments like that. It's moments that they give you in said story arc that stick in your mind. You know, I know a lot of people may not agree with Spark of Life, the Sonic Universe story, which is basically sort of an origin story for Nicole being done the way it was done, but I was good with it. I was cool with it. I got every issue with it. I loved it. You know, you may not agree with it, but I liked it. I was one of those people that was okay with it because, yes, Nicole was a focal point. Yes, it gave her a rival, an enemy to focus on, to, you know, face off with. It even showed, and this is the one thing a lot of people don't take away from this, it even showed that I think what they had planned in the comic for the non-game characters was hinted at, was debuted in this issue when Dr. LED puts the freaking red star ring on Nicole's portable handheld and she goes freaking super form as overclock Nicole. And to me, that was just a hint of what would be, or what would come in the future for characters like Rotor, Sally, Antoine, Bunny. And yet, we are unsure if we're ever going to get that. You know, it's just moments like that that stick with you. And I tip my head off to this comic. I like the fact that we had crossovers even in the super specials with Sabrina the Teenage Witch, the Image comics, whether you agree with that one or not. You know, it's these kind of moments that just stick out with you. They really do. They stick out with you, and they stay with you for a long time. Heck, I can recall when Ken Penders and when basically it was announced that one of the story arcs happening, when Ken Penders, I think, was in his final tier, but easy for me to say. When Ken Penders was in his final year or final tier with the comic, he introduced us to the Mobius Years Later concept and story. And I like how it wasn't Ken Penders that continued it, but it was Ian Flynn. Ian Flynn continued the story arc. Whether we agree with what Ian's doing now or not, he continued it. He didn't have to, but he did. And I liked it. I really did. I truly liked I liked the story. Some may have felt it was too talkative at times, less action, more talk. I was cool with that. I liked it. It was a different take. True, a lot of people are split down the middle of Ken Penders coming out and saying, yeah, this is also, it's not just, you know, the future, but it's basically part of the continuity. It's not a what if, but it's a what will happen. And I know a lot of people split down the middle of it because in comics,